And Latoya, why don't you?
Hi everyone.
Hmm.
Um, Sorry, I'm still at work. My name is Natoya. I am an attorney, work in the court system and obviously trying to participate to give back to my community and not to see any more of our youths in the court system. I work in criminal courts, though.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, Latoya. Um, Zhang, how do you say your name? Zhang Jean Jacques. I probably messed that all the way up, but welcome. You want to tell us a little bit about you?
Good evening. My name is Zhang. You pronounced my name actually perfectly, so thank
Oh,
you.
thanks.
I live in East Flatbush within the community board's jurisdiction, and I am also part of a group called Say No to Less, in which we're just trying to familiarize ourselves with all the development projects that's being um, implemented within the community. And seeing that this is a committee that addresses these issues, I thought that I'd make myself present so I can be made aware of everything that's going on within our community, and as far as voicing objections or support, and also relaying it back to the other admins within the Say No to Less group. So good evening, everyone, and I look forward to observing this meeting with you all.
Okay. Anyways, and I know one thing about me, I like people to be on camera so we can, have a little bit of more human experience. So if you possibly can, you're more than welcome. Thank you. Appreciate that. John, you want to introduce yourself to the group? Okay, maybe he stepped out. Latween, you're on mute. Mute. Latween, you're on mute. Yeah, we're saying, can you introduce yourself to the group a little, please?
Oh yeah, I thought you said I'm sorry. Hi everyone. My name is Latween. I am a co-chair for the Youth Service Committee. This is my second year on the board. I joined
Latween,
because I've been
Latween,
working with.
something's going on with your
Can
sound.
you hear me?
It's like choppy.
It's choppy.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do you have more than one device on?
So,
No.
okay. Okay. All right. Linda, did you introduce yourself?
Oh, I don't think I did. Hi, I'm Linda Watson Lord. I'm the secretary to Community Board 9. I've been there like for 4 years. Before that, I was an ordinary board member for a little while, watching and trying to learn and trying to understand how they operate. But I've always been a member of this committee. This is my first love and my first thing in this community board. I am a member of St. Gabriel's Church in Brooklyn, and I am responsible or share responsibility with a few other people for all our youth and young adult ministry. So they call me a professional youth leader.
Okay, wonderful. And I guess I should introduce myself. My name is Sol Query. I'm the chair of the Youth and Education and Library Committee. I am also the CEO and founder of Soul to Souls Incorporated nonprofit and Soul to Souls Productions Incorporated film program. Um, and I also work with youth, and I've been working in various schools throughout the Brooklyn community, and quite a few of them are in the Community Board 9. And I just wanted to be of help and be of service to my community and to bring what I've learned to this, as well as to continue to learn and grow about what it is we need to do to help our young people. So that's what drew me to working with Community Board 9. Latween, you can introduce yourself really quickly, and then I'm sure in a couple of minutes the guest speaker should be here. I told him 7:15.
Awesome. Sorry about that, guys. My name is Latween. This is my second year on the community board and the second year on the Youth Services Committee. I joined this particular committee committee because I really enjoyed working with the youth here in Brooklyn and in the Bronx, and it's just something I truly, truly just love to do. I will be taking notes, so yes, that's me.
All right, thank you. I see a hand raised. Zane?
Yes, good evening again. I have a quick question. I see a lot of the participants in this meeting is specifically referring to working with youth. Is this the ULURP and Land Use Committee meeting?
No.
Actually, I was going to tell you something about that when you spoke, but I was waiting until you introduce yourself. At least you would know us. For that
Okay.
committee, you should join the housing committee as well as the ULURP committee. You could call the community board, or you can go on our website and you will see when they're meeting and you could join.
Yeah, yes. I apologize.
No, don't worry, you can stay here tonight.
I have I have a email and it listed this link right here as the community board for ULURP. So the meeting is actually going on for community board 9 at the same exact time.
Yes.
But I had the wrong link.
Okay.
So I apologize to all.
All right. Well, we'll miss you then.
All right. You all have a good night, and I hope you all have a successful and productive meeting.
All right.
God bless.
Thank you.
All right. So, Linda, could you go over and let's start, our speaker should be here soon. In the interim, can you go over some of what we discussed from the last meeting and I can share the screen?
Yeah, hold on a minute. Let me just pull up our minutes. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
And I stopped.
Do you want to pull it up or do you want me to put it on the screen?
Okay, you could. If that's nice. If that's fine for you. Yeah, because then you could share it and I could always.
Okay. All right. This was the last meeting. So we want to just run through that really quickly while we're waiting for our speakers. You can go ahead, Linda.
Okay, good. If you can see from our attendance listing that we do really are able to attract a good number of people that come to our meetings. I think we're the committee that nearly everybody attends. At our last meeting, we did follow up a bit on our program for the year. And we had asked the community board if we could have a WhatsApp group, and we were members who want, I think they have said that members who want to be involved and to be added to that group could share their information with the office, and then the office would direct us. So if you're new to here and you want to do that, you're fine. We welcome and we would love to have you. Then we talk about, again, guest speakers that we would have. There's a number of different things, and we are always thinking that we will put the youth projects and the youth things that interest the youth first. We had two visitors or two community people, and they had shared things that they would like to see and things that they do for their young people. When we went into a meeting, we did finalize a few things in our timeline for the year. One was a community cleanup, and I have suggested that because the environmental committee also does cleanup, instead of revamping the rule, we would speak with them. And I have spoken to Debbie, and we're supposed to get back when she get her meeting going. But there was a suggestion for us that we can go ahead and clean the space. I was trying to remember the space. So close to where you meet.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah. It's on Union Street between Classen and Franklin Avenue. They have a community garden.
Right. So when we could organize that from our own self, and then we could see what we can do with it. And maybe talk about, Pamela had suggested us about joining with the school so that we could combine, because she's saying that if we invite kids, they will see us doing it and they will stop littering and they will carry on, which is a fantastic idea, because then we be leaders in the community who teaching them how to do good stuff. We talk about a clothing drive, right? And as you see, we would see, I don't know if we're going to put together a subcommittee to just head it, but all of us are invited to participate.
Right. I think that we decided that that was one we were going to table for now because
Yeah.
we kind of felt as though all of the logistics around doing a clothing drive would have been a little bit, a little bit too much right now. Because you have to collect, find somebody to take it,
Mhm.
organize a lot of different areas. So I think for now we said we was gonna table that suggestion.
Right. And
Mhm.
today, because I know we were tabling it, I was looking at New York Cares, and I was wondering, all we would need to do if we really want to, still do something similar, is just deliver stuff to them. We wouldn't have to worry about storage, who to give it to. They've already got a market. We would just be donators to it. So that's something that maybe we could look as a Christmas gift to the community.
Well, I think New York Cares, it's only coats.
But but we can break clothes another time and we do our own. So it's just a suggestion. We can look at it.
Okay. John, his hands up.
Yes, mine.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Dick. We speaking on the clothing drive. I'm glad y'all brought that up because my job, we're actually looking for coats and any clothing because a lot of the clients that come through, they have kids, and we're like this week alone. My boss, we tried to contact Primark, and we was gonna buy 50 coats and see if they would have matched or gave us some towards it. There's a lot of clients is coming in with their kids and they have no coats, and the courts, if they're not, out on part of the SRP program, we can give them clothing and food packages, but the kids and stuff we don't have. So we've been bringing the workers, we've been bringing stuff in, and so if you're trying to find a place, we will take it.
Okay, John, let's talk online. I could get my kids at church because I got a few kids and I know that they got parents who could afford new coats or at least lightly used coats. So let's talk.
Okay, no problem.
Well, then I think that what we could do is put that as a suggestion so that I think the difference is before we was more ambiguous as to where we would give it to if we would do it. So if we have a destination and a desire, then I think that that's something then we could do. Maybe we could make the place to drop the clothes off at the Community Board 9 office. And John, you can then.
Yes, and I'll get it and take it down to my job.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Thank you.
All right, so then we talk about having a youth summit. We had something similar last year. So as a year ago, we will flesh that out to see what style we will do, and we usually do that with Clear Souls Association, and because she's got already clientele that we can sure use both in helping out and both in taking part. And then we talk about we had a guest speaker from the U.S. Army. He was very, very good. I mean, he really did a good job, but we didn't have young people sent to the Army at the meeting. So we hope that maybe it could come up another time for him.
I did go to that event.
Oh, good.
Okay. Do you want to give any more info on that?
Let me talk about sport coaches to speak about programs in the winter. And that was a good thing because there was the other gentleman, can't remember his name, he was visiting, and was talking about what, he would like to see things happen to the kids in the winter. So let me did answer. I did highlight that, I don't know, maybe at the end of the year or maybe at the end of June next year, which would be the end of our year, if we could have some sort of appreciation or honor ceremony for the young people in our community. I know I forgot a paper article of a young 17-year-old, he might be 18 now, that was last year I found it, who operates a fridge, the food fridge in our community. And I think that, stuff like that. And he's one that, when I thought of the idea. So maybe by then we could find other young kids young people who doing things that we could honor from our community, from our committee. So we can work on that also. And we want to, we were thinking about encouraging young people to join the meeting tonight. We've got Twyla, right? I see her at the community board meeting. I was like, oh, she's young. So I was about to say, could you come join our youth meeting? But she's here. So God works in his own way. Thank you for coming. And I spoke about the other things, about the WhatsApp and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. And was there anything else that we have on the agenda? I mean, that from last meeting?
No, then we know we was going to have the guest speakers. So that's it. So when you're ready, we could go.
All right. Thank you. So, Alfred, since you're here, I'm sure the other people should be joining us soon. So do you want to talk about you and what it is that you're doing and what you'd like to present with us today?
Sure, I'll do that. And give me like a time frame so I know how to organize it and stick to your time frame, because I see you have such a packed agenda. Yeah, I don't want to run over.
Well, let's do 5 to 10 minutes depending on how much you need.
Yeah, probably closer to 10 than 5.
That's fine. Let's do it.
Just to be thorough.
Okay.
So yeah, my name is Al Kurland, and I have a 44-year career in youth services, starting with 22 years working at a school for special needs kids, where I started as a work-study student and retired as a floor supervisor for mentally handicapped and emotionally challenged children. I also have a 22-year career completed. I retired 3 years ago from the Police Athletic League. And part of my service with the league included 2 things. One was being a director of Teen Services Department, which included educational services, employment preparation, but also civics education, where we trained teen groups at 19 PAL sites to develop civic engagement presentations to their centers and their communities. And I also partnered with 2 organizations, Future Voters of America and Generation Citizen, in getting a bill introduced to the state legislature to lower the eligibility age for community boards from 18 years of age to 16 years of age, because we thought it was important to include seniors in their final 2 years of high school or of that age to be eligible to join community boards. So that's the brief biography. Vote 16 is basically a volunteer effort by members of different communities that are involved in teen services to support legislation that exists in the state legislature to lower the voting age for New York City and New York State elections from age 18 to age 16. And the lead sponsor in the state Senate is Brad Hoyman Segal, who serves the west side of Manhattan. And the lead sponsor in the state assembly is Robert Carroll, who serves sections of Brooklyn. And they do currently have a few, co-sponsors to the legislation. On the state Senate side, there's Julia Salazar, and on the state assembly side, there's Rodney's Hermelin and Latricia Walker. All of these people from Brooklyn. And finally, we do have companion legislation that's introduced to the city council. So we, the city council, cannot decide. It's the state legislature, but the city council can pass a resolution of support to send to the state legislature, which is a similar process we followed when we proposed the teens on community boards. That had to be decided at the state level, but the city council ultimately passed a resolution of support. And because we demonstrated, that home rule or local support, that kind of pushed the state legislature to pass legislation allowing 16 and 17-year-olds to serve on boards. So the campaign that we're running is basically predicated on a few premises. We did a lot of research to explore the capacity of 16 and 17-year-olds to exercise the cognitive ability and demonstrate a willingness to become involved in civic affairs. And our review of that literature and research has shown overwhelmingly that 16-year-olds are basically ready, willing, and able to become involved in civic affairs, and also become involved when they're given the opportunity to demonstrate voting in a local arena, talking about like for city elections and state elections. And there are basically 17 nations across the globe that have lowered the voting age to 16 for about a decade now. And they've shown that these 16 and 17-year-olds, show, demonstrated ability, to use cognitive ability and reasoning to become effective and knowledgeable voters. And one of the sidebars to the research for cities, both nationally and internationally, that lowered the voting age 10 years ago, is they found out that 16 and 17-year-old first-time voters actually come out at 4 times the rate of people that register to vote when they're 18, 19, or 20. And what was found is the reason for this is that 16 and 17-year-olds are, a bit more stable in their lives. Most of them are still in school, and they have access to teachers and mentors that could kind of guide them in the path, for exploring the issues, for the right to vote. And once they're given that opportunity again to register and participate, they do so at very high rates. That rate of 4 to 1 does not sustain itself over 4 years or 6 years or 8 years. They still come out even after almost a decade of voting at almost 2 to 1 over people that registered for the first time at 18, 19, and 20 years old. So what I did, I sent a packet to the board in an email. I don't know if the youth committee members have had a chance to review it yet, but what the packet shows is the level of support, at the city level, at the state level, and even at the national level, for reducing the voting age to 16. Some of the sponsors have included, Nancy Pelosi, also Grace Meng, who's a congressional representative from Queens, introduced legislation in Congress. And then you had, Congresswoman from Massachusetts that introduced legislation in the House of Representatives, about 2 years ago as an amendment to the For the People Act. And she actually got 125 Congresspeople, to sign on to that legislation. So I think both the legislative support and the on the ground support is beginning to develop. We are in early days soliciting or asking for letters of support from community boards. I live up in Washington Heights, so of course I went to my home board first, Community Board 12, which includes Washington Heights and Inwood. And they did pass a resolution of support, pretty overwhelming. I think the vote was 33-5 in favor of lowering the voting age. And we also had Community Board 11, which serves East Harlem. They came on board and passed and offered a letter of support. So that's the 2 boards in Manhattan. We also have 2 boards in the Bronx, boards 2 and boards 4 in the Bronx. And we have board 8 in Brooklyn, who we presented to in the middle of October. So I know they were, going through the research and considering, the opinions seem to be favorable, but of course it it takes a vote at the youth committee level, and then they have to pass it on to, in the case of Board A, to their executive board, and then to the full board, to get full voting, for the legislation. So, the last thing I want to talk about is we have recruited 2 youth organizations, each of which has endorsed, the right to vote for 16-year-olds. The first one is Generation Citizen. Generation Citizen organizes action civic programs in public schools, charter schools, and also in private schools, where classrooms choose an issue of interest, and once they debate which issue they want to pursue, then they have to do research, on the issue. They have to develop an agenda of support for the issue, and then they also organize a presentation at a citywide forum, a youth congress that they do each semester, once in the fall and once in the spring. And then the second group is an organization called Why Vote New York. We got a letter of support from Why Vote from their executive director, and both Why Vote and Generation Citizen are in the process of training high school students to become advocates for the bill, both at the community board level, but also when the time comes to go to the operations committee in the city council or the election committee in the state legislature. We hope to have the teens themselves be the lead advocates, and I can be kind of a backseat support person, to let high school students be the primary presenters, for the legislation. So I hope I kept that under 10 minutes. And if anyone has any questions, comments, I'd be, feel free to engage, if people have questions or they want to make comments. I seem to have lost.
I'm sorry, how early do you start training the youth or educating the youth? At 16 or before?
Okay, well, right now we're training 16 and 17-year-old youth, but we are also, plan after Christmas to expand our training to include, even middle school students in the 8th grade who are actively engaged in civic projects and community service projects. We think that there is a civic engagement, electoral franchise pipeline. And if we start them younger, training them while they're still doing community service and doing civic issues, we feel that would be experiential for them and give them more reason to, explore the world of electoral engagement.
Okay.
Okay, so you're looking at student government in schools.
Absolutely. We understand that there's unfortunately, a population of maybe up to 100,000 students, ages between 16 and 24, that have been either, pushed out of engagement in schools or, other processes, or, disconnected. And we are looking to reach out to organizations that specifically serve these populations, because they have just as much a right to, to become civically engaged and also to have the right to vote. The bill is for 16 and 17-year-olds, no matter where they are in the process, and we welcome all in that process.
All right. Thank you so much, Alfred. We appreciate you presenting to us this information. And I guess you can also let us know, in what ways can we support this endeavor, and, any contact information, please give it to the board so then we can, Latween and all of us can follow back up. So thank you. So
Yes,
I
the
guess,
process, the process that we're looking for is, for what's happened in other boards, but every board has its own process, is for the youth committee to do deliberation and discussion, and then hold a vote. And then if they, vote in favor, then in other boards have been passed on to the executive committee and or the full board for a vote. about a month or so, or 2 months later.
Okay, sounds
And
great.
I will send a full packet to the district manager who's contacted me a few times, staying in contact. I think I'm going to mail it to him because when I try to email it, I always get these messages. I'm trying to email too much information.
Okay,
It'd be better if I, actually mail a hard copy and he can scan it and post it so it's available to all board members.
okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right, so now I'd like to have our guest speakers, and somehow the links got mixed up. So just like Zen ended up in ours, our guest speakers ended up in Europe. So they're here now. So we have Principal Mecca Getters, we have Principal Sherry Ann Atkinson, and we have Community School Director Darius Nazario that's on the line. And so wanted to open it up for you ladies to be able, the principals, and then Darius to talk about Jackie Robinson School and Ebbets Field School, about the students and the population that we have there, and in what ways can we collaborate or do things as a community board to help your schools and to be of support. I'll start with Miss Getter, Principal Getters.
Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here this evening. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am the proud principal of PS 375, the Jackie Robinson School. I've been the principal there for 5 years, and I came into the community just wanting to make a difference in the lives of students. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, in the Clinton Hill area, which is not too far from the Jackie Robinson School. Our school is very, very diverse. We have a very large Muslim community, which is growing Middle Eastern population. We have a very large Hispanic community, which is growing. We have 5 different languages that are spoken inside of our school. And we have students from 3K all the way up to 5th grade. And we have approximately 285 students. This year, we are happy to say that we now have a NEST program in our school, which means that we have students who have autism, but who are on the spectrum, but are in our general education classes, and that we are happy that it started in kindergarten and that we will be growing our classes every single year. One of the things that myself and Principal Atkinson hope to do as a community is that we would like to build our building to become a community school where our families are able to come as a one-shop deal, where we would like to build a food pantry for our families. We would like to start a dental clinic for our families. We would like to have a number of resources for our families, including English as a second language for our families, just anything that we could provide for our families to help to support them in any way that we possibly can. We do know that we share our building with the charter school, and we also know that we're not getting a lot of students to come into our neighborhoods, but with the students that we do have, we just want to be able to support our families in any way. So we work collaboratively to help to support our families. We really are trying to brand our school. We do know that the school does have a reputation, but with the change in leadership, we are doing a number of things together. The community has totally changed. Our schools have totally changed. We have made major impact with our students. We believe in working together in the best interest of our schools. And we have many families that go to both schools. One of the things that I am very concerned about my school in particular is that we do not have a fully functioning after school program. Thanks to Soul, we have partnered together to provide an after school program for some of our students, but it has definitely been a challenge because we are not able to support all of the families within the school. And Soul is doing a wonderful job with the small resources that we do have, but it's been a challenge being able to support our families because of the funding. And as many of you know, a lot of our families are single parent households. And although, no matter how great a school may be, if you are a single parent and you have to work, you have to move to a school that does have care after school. And that has been a challenge for our community. And we've been pushing and pushing for our electeds to make sure that every elementary school does have a fully functioning after school program, but it just has gone unfunded for years. So that is one of the biggest focuses that we need, particularly for my school. Principal Atkinson has definitely been willing to support my school. She is a community school. She has a wealth of resources. She's reached out to state that as a community school, she's willing to share those resources in her after school program with me, so that we could support all of our families. But that just hasn't been the case. So my numbers have been dropping because of that. And we're hoping that if we are able to provide the resources that I mentioned, like providing a food pantry, providing a dental clinic, providing English as a second language for our families, that we will be able to grow our student population and keep the families that we do have.
Thank you, Principal Getters. Now I'd like to give Miss Principal Atkinson a moment to be able to talk a little bit about her school.
I'm sorry, can I ask the principal, is she a Title I school?
Yes, I am a Title I school. We are.
Okay. Thank you. Have a functioning parent association?
Yes, we do. But not many parents come out to the meetings. It's often the same parents over and over again. We do try to have parent meetings at different times to encourage parents to come out in the morning and in the evenings, but we have very low turnouts at our parent meetings.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
Principal Atkinson, is she there? You're on mute. If you're talking, you're on mute. I can see her, but I can't hear anything. Oh, she can't talk. All right, I'll let Darius come in and speak next, and give her a moment to talk. So Darius, if you could jump on, if you're able to get on camera and talk to us about, we had the youth committee and education committee is aware of the youth summit that you're planning, and we have voted to be involved. So if you could give us some more information about that, Darius.
Hi, and everybody, sorry, just like jumping on. Give me 1 second, I'm like hopping out of Uber. Thank you. So on May 16th, the community schools program over at Ebbets Field, of which I'm the director, making sure you guys can hear me correctly.
Yes.
Okay, great. On May 16th, we're going to be having our annual community school forum, also known as the Youth Summit / block party. It's a moment where we try to engage the community as best as possible, while also providing resources that we're aware the community may need, and additionally try to gather as much data as possible, because as we're aware, New York is ever evolving, our school is ever evolving, and as a community, we are ever evolving. So there's multiple areas of which, like, youth advocates or other youth professionals can help to support, whether it's helping to collect data through surveying families or engaging with them, helping to connect them with some of the providers that we'll have on site. Last year we had Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield, we had the FDNY show up, we had a few other insurance companies, we had some mental health providers, we even had the Cancer Society and a prostate van. Whether it's connecting those families to those resources, literally almost like hand to hand, or helping to even liaise with some of our other vendors, such as our food trucks that come out, or our bounty cow for the kids and everything with it. Really, the hands-on ground approach is always needed. It is always appreciated, and definitely something that, again, personally, like I would appreciate. Throughout the year, we'll also have other events similar to that forum, whether it's a small tabling with families where we'll have them come out just to do those surveys and collect as much data as possible, or other parent engagement events such as our feast next week, and our winter forum next month. Hopefully that kind of answers your question. I'm trying to see if I can share my email address in case there's anyone who may want to like connect and see how they can be engaged, or I follow up with any other questions that may have.
Does anybody have any questions? I know when we mentioned the youth summit, quite a few people had some questions. So please, take this moment to ask Darius any questions that you may have.
Is this just for your middle school, or is this open to all the middle school students, I guess, in the area? I just wasn't so clear at this youth summit.
Got you. So it is a community-wide event for the community of Crown Heights. So we worked collaboratively with Jackie last year. Essentially, my belief with community programming is I do not turn children away. As they show up, they being the students themselves and their families, and sign in. We do ask, what age they are, what communities, what school they're from. They can always attend. So like, let's say if they're coming from MS61, okay, for example, as long as they come in and they sign in, they're allowed to like attend the resources that are on hand. This is an outdoor event, I should say. This isn't really an event that we bring into the school for that reason.
What time is your event?
Currently, it's being planned for after school hours. This is May 16th, I believe, is a Thursday. So this would be after our school dismissal. So this would be between 3 to 6 o'clock.
And you mentioned that there were, are you going to have a flyer that you could share when it comes? And then
absolutely,
what kind of support are you looking for from the Youth and Education Committee?
So
you don't
yes,
have to answer that now. You can answer that at another time. But then you mentioned 2 other events.
So we host parent engagement events throughout the year. And I know for some of us who are just getting in the youth development field or youth education field, getting almost like firsthand experience is incredibly beneficial. So when I was discussing those events, I was saying more so like, if anyone would be interested in assisting, coming up to see how we engage with the parents, those events are next week. We have the Harvest Feast, and then in December, we have our Winter Forum. Unlike the community forum, it's not entirely open to the community as a whole, but so much so more so the Ebbets Field community.
Are there any more questions, anybody? Okay. All right. So thank you, Darius. So what we will be doing from this point on is I will meet with Darius to discuss what is needed more specifically. And then what we can do on our end is create our committees and then have those who want to commit to particular duties and things that will be needed along the way, so that we'll know how we could be of support on the day and leading up to that day. So I'll keep in contact, and then I will bring the information to the youth committee. Principal Atkinson, are you able to unmute now? No. Okay, she's having some technical difficulties. So I don't think that she'll be able to speak right now. But Principal Getters, I know you and her communicate a lot. Were there things that you feel as though, as a community board, in what ways do you feel like Community Board 9 could be of support and help the school in any way?
So just in speaking on Principal Atkinson's behalf, she did mention to me that we both have a very large students in temporary housing population for this year. And students in temporary housing do require a lot of support. We do provide uniforms for them. We do provide Metro cards for them. We do provide school supplies for them. In addition to that, we both partner with Interboro because we do have students who are suffering with a lot of like mental health and social emotional issues. So we have been partnering with them as well, and that supports in that area. So those things that we've really been trying to deal with school-wide, but those are areas that we could also use some support in. I do know that Principal Atkinson and I do try to come together to meet frequently. We did speak on the phone for just a brief second. I don't want to speak I can't speak directly on her behalf in terms of her school, but I do know that those were the two things that she did mention to me that she did want to share. It is a very difficult task to hold a school community, and we have very limited funding to do so much for a community that has a great need. And with the budgets that we do have, we try to spread it so far, but the money is very limited. And there are so many concerns that we do have for our children. But when we do get our funding goes but so far, because when you get pockets of money, it is earmarked for certain students, and it is earmarked for certain activities that you have to spend it on. So those things that we just mentioned, like social emotional issues when it comes to students, like social work, guidance counselors, those are the areas where we are seeing a lot of need for children. But it is difficult to be able to fund some of those positions because the need is growing so large based on students' needs from the pandemic that still have not been addressed. So those have been some of our major concerns.
Okay. Are there any particular type of events or anything that we could concretely do that you feel would be helpful to the school?
I think really just speaking on our behalf to our electeds and just seeing how they could support would often be helpful. There are things that we cannot say as a building leader that I think you guys could say very differently. We have to be very careful on the way that things are presented. But it is often very helpful if so you are in the building and you can see how we operate and how things function in the way that we like to move the school building. And even things for our family, we really need support groups for our parents, right? And that's not something that we could necessarily fund through our budget, but our parents suffer. Our parents need parent support groups that would be able to meet regularly. And that is not something that is often provided. It's something that we can speak about, but things of that nature would be very helpful because there's no parenting guide. And our parents do need support in areas like that.
Okay, that seems wonderful. I know Pamela is very much a huge advocate for the parenting community and has done some work with the DOE and parents. So, maybe this is something we can explore a little bit more, Pam, to see if there's some way that, we could provide something, like even if it's workshop or some kind of things, I guess maybe in knowing like what is it that parents really need, what kind of information, because also we could be a conduit for information or other organizations that may be able to support them on a larger scale. So that's something that we could also look into. I know Ms. Atkinson is stating that she has a lot of students in crisis that need some support. Maybe with our committee, if there's maybe some kind of volunteer events, or maybe even if it's consistent volunteer, like once a week, we provide some one-on-one discussion or helping a group of kids, in particular areas that they may need. If there's some community members who would be willing to do something like that, I would be open to helping to organize and set that up, because as Principal Geddes is saying, there's a lot of kids, like they do really need a lot of support, and the parents need some support and information and things like that. So we could create something that the next meeting we could talk a little bit more and explore a little bit more ways and capacities that people on the Youth and Education Committee have to be of more concrete support to this school, because I'm sure there's many of schools, but we could start one school at a time.
We also have not gotten much support in helping our immigrant families in learning to speak English.
Okay.
We did start that process, and we constantly speak with families who really would like to have a program to help them to learn English, and that would really help to support them in feeling comfortable and coming out to meetings. We do provide a lot of translation, but we still believe that although the translation is provided, they still don't come out in large numbers because they don't feel comfortable not speaking the language.
That's a good one. Okay. Nicholas, I see your hand is up.
Yes, as everyone, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Nicholas Almono, I'm a member at large at Community Board 9. I also chair the public.
Nicholas, you're breaking up. You're breaking up. Go ahead. Try again, because you were breaking up. I think he's frozen now. Nicholas, if you can hear me, sign out and sign back in, because your connection is not good.
Okay, I will sign back. Okay. All right, I'll try that.
All right, 2 other people have their hands up right now. Oh, Melissa.
Hi, just to what Principal Geddes, is that the correct pronunciation, was saying about the parents needing support. So I live in the community. I'm a single mom. My child is in 10th grade now, and I would love if there's some way that I could, help, another parent. So if there's like some kind of parent to parent thing that you have going on, I would love to volunteer with that, because I've already gone through a lot of it. My kid's almost done with everything. So I have lots of experiences to share navigating all of that. And she's doing amazing. So I would like to share that information if you would like.
Thank you. Yes, we would appreciate that.
I just have one question.
Yes.
for both principals, so you can ask the other, do you want your parents to be your voice in education, fighting for the needs of your children?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Do you want your parents to be your voice in advocating for change in public education and the resources that you need?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. That's all I need to
Absolutely.
know.
Does anybody else have any other questions or thoughts around this? Okay, so I think that what we would like to do, Principal Getters and Atkinson and Darius, what I would like to do is bring up and talk a little bit more in detailed, excuse me, in the next meeting. In the next meeting, so we could come up with some concrete ways, and I'll be the liaison between both the school and the committees, and we can figure out some things that we can do. I think that we should have a goal and create, like, if there's one or two things that we could do. Now, I don't want us to have it like a long list and then we don't do anything. So if we come up with a solid list of like maybe 1 to 2 things that's really important that we could do to concretely help the school, then we can come up with something that we can actually do throughout the school year. I think that would be a next step and a good goal for us to do. And, you know, my committee is always dedicated and we follow through. So we'll definitely work to make something happen. Excuse me, my voice is dying right now. So, but we wanted to thank all 3 of you for coming today and participating. And if there's anything in the interim, definitely let me know and I'll bring it back to the committee.
Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate you taking the time to listen and just being an advocate for us, because we appreciate all that anyone is able to do for us and our families and our students. So thank you so much for taking the time to hear our needs.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so for inviting us.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
Hi. Before you go, I just have one question. Is there a way that if a person wants to contact you after know that we can we just call the school for you?
Absolutely. And I could put my email in the chat.
Thank you very much. Or you could give it to Sol and she'll give it to me.
Okay. Yes. She definitely has our email addresses.
Thank you.
Bye. Take care, everyone.
All right.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, guys, my voice is going with this cold. So as a youth committee, we could talk a little bit more about what we'd like to do to really help this school in addition to the youth summit. One of the other thing is, I know we talked a bit about our calendar and what it is we want to do. So thus far, based on what we've talked about, we have agreed to, of course, doing the youth summit. Then now it sounds like we want to do, knowing that we have a place to do this, it sounds like, and I guess there should be a vote put out if we do want to do the clothing drive. We can do that. So is that something that we want to revisit and say that we do want to do it now that we have a destination of where our clothes and coats and things can be? So I'd like to put that out as a vote. So do we vote to have a clothing drive this year?
Can we just talk about it one more time again? It would be with, where would they be going?
So John, yeah.
Brooklyn Justice. I work for Brooklyn Criminal Court, Brooklyn Justice Initiative Supervised Release Program, downtown Brooklyn. 14. We have offices in 120 Skimmerhorn in the courtroom, the whole 3rd floor, and the main office where I'm at when I'm not in the court is on 14 DeKalb across the street from Junior's.
Okay.
And it's basically, supervised release program is basically this alternative to bail. Instead of people getting bail, they have to check in with me while they While I'm a case manager there, they have to check in with me, and I'm part of the community engagement team. They have to check in with me once a week while they're fighting their cases. But we offer different services, like 2 times out the month. We have Metro Plus come there. We have SNAP come there. We partner with Workforce One because a lot of these people, you have young mothers, you have a lot of people that they looking for work. So we try to give them alternatives to keep them out. And like I said, a lot of people been coming. We give them care. Once a month, they're eligible for a care package, which is food and clothing. So, but as far as like a lot of them have kids and stuff, we've been doing it on our own, promoting the clothing and coat drive, because a lot of them this week, like it was people coming in and have hats, nothing for their kids, coats, nothing. So it would be very well needed there.
Is this something that we would like to pursue, and then we can make the drop-off point the CB9 office? Maybe we'll get a barrel, get the drop-off point at the CB9 office, and then John can then take the clothes to his job. Is this something that we want to do? Can we just put up your raised hands if you're interested, please? Okay. Okay.
If I may, why don't somebody put a motion, get seconded, and take a vote?
Yeah, well, I'd like to put in a motion for this to be voted on. I never say the stuff right. All right.
Looking for a second, please give
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah, I've seen some people put it up, then put it down. Because do we have a majority at this point? Well, I think amongst the board members we did. Okay. I see 2 right now. Nicholas, you guys could just put a thumbs up if anything. I'll put mine up.
Yeah. All the committee members put their thumbs up, then you have unanimous consent, so we'll take it to the executive board.
All right. Okay. So this seems like overall with those of you that are board members, it looks like it's a go. All right, so we'll definitely start to put that together and work on that. Is there anybody on the committee who would like to head this up as their main responsibility? Because I know a lot of the time it's me, but it's time to start delegating. So is there anybody else who would like to be the head over this initiative and getting the word out? And, you know, we can get a flyer and stuff put out. I'll do a flyer and all of that we could start to put and advertise on the bulletin, the community board bulletin. Is there anybody else who'd be interested in leading this initiative?
Well, I'll get the flyer done. Because we have one already. But it doesn't have the community board 9 location. So what I'll do is I'll get a flyer done, and I'll put the CB9 location, and I'll take that on. That's not
right.
I'll be willing to head it. Let me speak to Dante on how we will, organize collection at the board. And if that's not possible, I will find you another space.
Okay.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you. So I know we're getting closer to our end time. The other thing I want to make sure that we do is I'd like to make sure that I wanted to put the WhatsApp group together so that we can communicate beyond just once a month meetings, with what we're going to do. We're definitely going to need to do that. So I want to put that together. Please make sure though of one thing. Sometimes the information we're getting from the board is old. So like if you changed your number or you don't have the right number in their email, make sure that all of the information is up to date and the board and on the board's end, so that when I reach out and ask for that info, that it's correct. Because sometimes we'll have like people's home numbers instead of cell numbers and just weird things. So please just make sure you have that so we can keep up to date. And That's pretty much, let me just see one last thing. Go ahead, Nicholas, your hand is up.
Mute. I've been listening. I heard a lot of that information. The last committee meeting I have for Parks and Recreation, we opted to follow up to have a joint meeting with the Youth and Education Committee because we have a couple of initiatives concerning the community garden, which we've been working on for the whole year, and a few other projects. This is something I want to put to this education committee. Can we set up a meeting between the education committee and the park recreation committee? That way, there's a lot of projects. One of the projects we're trying to work on projects dealing with the garden and the neighborhood parks. But the things I want to mention, I listened to Principal Atkinson. I myself is a retired teacher. Fortunately, I happen to be also in the Kings County Hospital Community Advisory Board. The needs for mental health, there's a whole section from Kings County. They are trying to do a lot of reach out to the community. I would love to have some further discussion with the two principals, and also the health and safety committee is very much involved in that. So I think we need some follow-up meeting, if not official, and see how we could help each other. So this is what I'm proposing. So
that sounds good to me, and definitely, you know, any support that we could give, we're more than open to be able to do that. So I guess the only thing I would say would be, oh, Melissa, go ahead, Melissa.
Oh, I didn't want to cut you off if you were still talking.
Oh, that's okay. Go ahead.
Great. Okay. So I know that you said in your last meeting that you were thinking of who to invite to your meeting. I just got off of a meeting with some education leaders from AQE, that's the Alliance for Quality Education, and AFC, which is the Advocates for Children. So they were discussing some funding cuts that are coming down the line for Department of Education. I don't have the ability to give you the update on it, but essentially there will be some budget cuts coming, and maybe they might be a good person to invite, so that way we're more educated about what's going on.
Wonderful. Could you, Melissa, is it possible for you to send us that information?
Yeah, I can email you that information. Yeah, they sent me I have a one-pager as well from them, so I can share that with you, and then maybe you can share it with the group.
Okay, that sounds great. I think that would be a good idea for us to stay in the loop with things to help share. So the way I'm looking at it now, based on the things that we're talking about achieving this year, and I know every year we always participate in the resource fair that we do every year. But the one thing that it sounds like we may want to try to do this before the end of the year sounds like we may want to do the clothing drive, because it is getting cold. I know I'm going to be looking through what sweaters, what sweatshirts, you know, what kind of things can we donate. Do we want to try to make that something that, like, what would that be our goal end date to start collecting, and then ending a collection date of the clothing drive? And anybody thought any ideas?
I think maybe like mid-January, just because for something like this, you typically need like a fair amount of time. So even though it's starting to get cold, later is better than never, I think.
So we'd want to wait to January before we just looking at the calendar. Would we want to wait to, or keep collecting till January, is what you're saying, Twyla?
Oh, yes, sorry. I'm saying like collect from whenever like we begin the collection to like some point in January, and then start distributing coats.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead. But if we're giving them to John as we get them, right? We can start anytime and just continue to give him until thing. rather than like have a collection knocking around some space and too much. So, and he's on here with us, so we got quick contact with him. And anytime we get, if we have a collection dates and people bring out the dates, he would know that he could collect this amount
Okay.
on the following date.
Okay. So I think what it sounds like that both suggestions could work, meaning
Yeah.
that we could maybe, let's say, if we wanted to start, after Linda finds out what she needs to find out, if in another week we could get started because the barrel and everything is ready there, we could then post the flyer to let people know to start collecting. And then what we could do is, as the barrels fill up, John can just come and get it, and then we can say that it's going to end. What do we want to say? The end of January? Like January 26th or?
I think as long as it's cold, but we can, in our heads, maybe end of January.
Okay.
Like that last
So we
week.
could even say the 31st could be the last day that we'll do
Mhm.
it. So if they have anything, okay. So we'll say we're collecting from whatever start date we decide up till January and continue. Now, if people want to continue to do it and we want to extend it because we're still getting things, then so be it. But at least if they kind of know the end date, it might push them to do things quicker, not to, not take too long to donate what it is that they're going to donate. And, and I think it should be any, I've always believed with clothing drive, just say clothing drive too, but especially consider winter, as this is winter, because sometimes people just need clothes. So, it's helpful. All right. So that could be the at least one of the things that we start before the year is ending. And then most of what we'll be doing pretty much will start for 2024. All right. So
Sounds like a plan.
all right. So any thoughts, concerns, or anything else that anyone wants to bring up?
I like the idea of like bringing the coats in sections. I think that's a good idea, especially because if we wait till like if we collect all of them at the end of January, like the more I think about this, then like kids grow a lot every year, so they might not be able to use the coat for as long as they would be like if we started sooner.
Got you. All right, sounds good. Well, I thought this was a good and productive meeting. It's good to hear because I'm sure what Principal Getters and I know Principal Atkinson didn't get to talk, but there are a lot of needs that are happening, within our schools. And, this is part of what we should be focusing on and doing because, that we're looking into how can we be of support. So, what we're doing is not to stop here and just think committee-wide. We should start thinking about, if we have friends or different people that live in our community that want to make a difference, then, we should also reach out to them and say, hey, we have this going on. Here's how you can help and support us so that we have more things, positive things that are going on in the community and that we're being of support and help in what we're doing. So I want to thank all of you that attended today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to adjourn the meeting. If there's somebody could second it, just any last minute, if anyone has any thoughts or suggestions, feel free to say it now. If now, I see Twilight, your name. Go ahead.
I would be interested in like if maybe we could talk at some point or like at the general board meeting about like starting like a mental health space for some of the middle schoolers. Like I would be interested in doing like a teen mentorship type thing if that's possible. So maybe I can reach out to you or something.
Yeah. Well, Twyla, that would be something that you would be more than we'd be more than open to having in the after school program that we have now at Jackie Robinson Middle School. And just to make sure you guys are clear that both of those principals are in the same building. So, a lot of what we do for both schools. So if that's something you're interested in, I'm gonna just screenshot and make Twyla, does the board have your email and phone number information?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so I'll reach out to them to get that, and then I will contact you and talk. We could talk offline.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Saul,
Go ahead.
For the WhatsApp group, do you want to put a deadline on when people should have that information updated? Because I know we've been talking about it for a long
I
time.
know, and I really want to just get it. Can we have that done by no later than Friday? So that over the weekend, I can just really create it, because I did wait and then there was just a lot of confusion. And now I just want to make sure that once I put it together, I'm not having the wrong numbers, because that kind of happened the last time. Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. So I move to adjourn the meeting. Anybody could second?
Second.
Second.
Alfred, thank you for coming and thank you for the information. I think that's amazing to lower the voting age, because they do contribute. If they're working, they contribute with their taxes. And I think for kids to learn to be more civically engaged, that it's important for them to understand that they have a voice and that they can vote. So I'm really happy that you brought that to our attention.
Thank you for your positive words, and just being at your meeting tonight. I mean, I opened up the newspaper daily or watched the news. It could get pretty disheartening, to say the least. But to say you have an amazing group and so many people that are coming every month to make a difference, and that brings my spirits up. It's got to be better publicized.
Right.
They're all heroes under the radar. So thank you for what you do.
All right. Thank you so much. Okay, everybody. So I'll see you next month.
So let's have a fun conversation soon. I'll give you a call, okay?
All right, no problem. All right, bye, everybody.
Okay.